It's awesome for me to know that when I come into work at R&O, that we do have a core value of safety and that people do care.
Safety is what we do to look after each other so we can arrive the next day, we can provide for our families, and we still get to go home to them all the time.
Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to make it home to their family, so can't do that if we're not being safe.
When we started our safety program, that was one of the things that safety must be a value and not just a priority.
Safety is a value. Right? If it can become one of your core values, it's one of my core values. And I will hope that everyone that comes to work here and who is currently working here understands that and that they won't walk away. When they see somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing, the easiest thing to do is walk away. The best thing to do is to stop and say, hey, please don't. You need to go home and see your wife and kids tonight, and it matters. So the schedule's important, the budget's important, but nothing matters more than everybody, not just our employees, but our subcontractors, our clients. Everybody needs to go home each night to their family, so that's what matters most.
R&O Construction believes the personal safety and health of all employees is of primary value and importance. Compliance with all safety rules is mandatory. Our value is to accomplish work in the safest possible manner. Safety should never be sacrificed for production. The ultimate success of the safety process will depend upon the full cooperation and observance of these safety rules by all employees, owners, and visitors. Never take a safe work area for granted. Maintaining a safe work area is hard work and requires training in many of the areas of safety unrelated to your exact job. By paying attention to basic safety precautions and procedures, you can make your work environment a safe place for you and your coworkers. This orientation will help you to recognize some of the hazards that occur during the construction phase of the project and how to protect yourself from them. The orientation consists of this orientation booklet, a completed orientation acknowledgement worksheet, a hard hat decal. The decal will be worn on the backside of your hard hat. Quiz to test your knowledge and understanding of topics covered. Even if a worker is only going to be on site for one day, they must go through a verbal orientation and complete the orientation acknowledgement sheet. Our way of life, safe and sound return. It starts with me. I will ensure proper training for individuals on our projects through site-specific safety orientation, task-specific training for tools and equipment, stopping work until individuals are properly trained or reassigned. I will always be aware of potential hazards through careful observation of our immediate surroundings, expanding our view to activities above and around us, actively looking for any condition that could cause harm or damage. Preparation. I will plan and prepare for a safe workday by starting before we ever leave home, clearing our minds to focus on the task at hand, performing pre-task safety planning and hazard identification, consulting with others on unique and challenging issues. Proper equipment. I will ensure individuals are protected by always wearing PPE, hard hat, vest, safety eyewear, face shields, gloves, etc. Secure the right tools, machinery, and safety equipment for each task. Ensure safety equipment, tools, and machinery are in proper working order. Never hesitate to remove questionable items from service. General safety rules. Running is not permitted except in the case of emergency. Horseplay, fighting, gambling, and/or the possession of firearms are strictly prohibited on the project site and constitute grounds for immediate dismissal or removal from the project. No alcohol or drugs are permitted on the project site. Possession will constitute grounds for immediate dismissal and removal from the project. Any use of medically prescribed drugs must be brought to the attention of the R&O superintendents prior to the start of the shift. Eating, smoking, or chewing tobacco are not permitted inside the building, on the roof, or in the R&O field office. It is prohibited at the project to use publicly audible radios or to wear headsets except that are used for job site communications. Parking only on designated areas, towing will be enforced. Correct unsafe acts or conditions and report them to R&O superintendents immediately. Workers can report unsafe acts or conditions to the R&O superintendents or safety department without fear of reprisal. All accidents or work-related illnesses, regardless of severity, must be reported to your supervisor and the R&O project superintendent. including any incidents that is considered a near miss or near hit, or when material gets damaged or dropped. HAZCOM, GHS, and SDS information. Revised Hazard Communication Standard requires employees to provide information on all hazardous substances that may be present in the workplace, including new globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals, commonly referred to as GHS. Under new GHS information, there are some changes that employees must know and understand. Material Safety Data Sheets, or MSDS, are replaced by only Safety Data Sheets, SDSs. New SDSs are comprised of 16 separated sections, always appearing in the same order. New SDSs incorporates applicable signal words, hazard statements, precautionary statements, and pictograms. Employees must be familiar with these 2 statements, 2 words, and 9 pictograms. A copy of each subcontractor's hazard communication program will be kept in the R&O field office. An SDS sheet for each chemical brought onto the project must be submitted to R&O. These sheets will be kept in each subcontractor's HAZCOM program file in the field office. SDS sheets are available for review at any time in the R&O field office. They are available to all project workers. All chemical containers must be labeled properly according to new GHS labeling and classification, and keep all containers accurately labeled identifying current content. All subcontractors must maintain detailed records of employees' training and prove that training requirements have been met by their employees to read new GHS product labels and SDS sheets. Excavations and confined workspaces. Walls of trenches and excavations 5 feet or more in depth, which employees are exposed to danger from moving around or cave-in, shall be protected by shoring or sloping. Trenches 4 feet deep or more require adequate means of exit, such as a ladder. Ladders cannot be more than 25 feet away from the worker inside the trench. Do not enter any confined work areas unless you have received proper training and your supervisor is approved for safe entry. Any work in confined spaces must be coordinated with the R&O project superintendents. Scaffolding. The following must be completed prior to utilizing scaffolding. Make certain base plates are stable and properly supported by subgrade. Tighten base jacks and check to make certain all bracing and guardrails are in position. A ladder must be attached when the distance between the rungs is greater than 16 3/4 inches or when the width is less than 11.5 inches. Cross braces must not be used as a means of access. Guardrails, midrails, and toe boards must be in place on every level above 10 feet. If not in place, fall protection equipment must be used. Remember, cross braces can be used as guardrails. Depending where they cross, you still need to install a horizontal brace, either as a top rail or mid rail. The standard guardrail is the top rail minimum 38 inches and not more than 45 inches high. The mid rail is half the distance. The top rail must be able to withstand a 200-pound load imposed against it from any direction. Where there's danger of tools, materials, or equipment from falling, toe boards or a barricaded area on the ground shall be installed at scaffoldings over entrance and exit egress openings. Scaffold must be fully planked with a maximum space between planks not greater than 1 inch. Each scaffold platform and walkway must be at least 18 inches wide. Scaffold planks must extend 6 inches beyond each horizontal bearer support member. When overlap, each other must overlap at least 12 inches. Where platforms are overlapped to create a long platform, the overlap must occur only over supports and must not be less than 12 inches unless they are nailed together or restrained to prevent movement. All erected scaffolding components shall be inspected by a competent person daily to ensure compliance and train all users prior to use. Fall protection. Employees must be protected from falls when working or whenever there's the possibility of falling 6 feet or more by the use of a guardrail system, safety nets, or personal arrest system. Guardrail system must be capable to support without failure at least 200 pounds of force at any point along the top edge. A fall arrest system, harness, lanyard, anchorage, must limit the distance you can fall 3 to 6 feet or less and or not allow you to strike the next level below. An anchorage used for attachment of personal fall arrest equipment must be used independent of any anchorage being used to support platforms and capable to support 5,000 pounds per employee attached. A fall arrest system, harness, lanyard, or anchorage must be inspected prior to each use. Any damaged, flawed equipment must be immediately taken out of service and replaced. Fall arrest system must be a part of your company's job-specific safety plan. Approval of system shall be by your company's competent person and submitted to the R&O project superintendent. If working 6 feet or more off the ground or the next level and there are no guardrails, you must utilize personal fall arrest equipment or safety nets. Impalement protection. All protruding reinforcing steel, anchor bolts, or electrical conduits must be capped or guarded to eliminate the potential hazard of impalement. This would include vertical and horizontal rebar or electrical conduits. If you observe caps that have been knocked off or missing, take a moment to reinstall them or report the missing caps. Mushroom caps are prohibited and are not allowed on R&O projects. Hole coverings. The hole cover must be able to withstand at least twice the weight which may be imposed upon it. All hole coverings must be securely attached to prevent them from being accidentally moved, and thereby exposing a person to a potential hazard. All hole covers must be color-coded or must be marked with the word hole to provide warning of the hazard. Holes larger than 4x4 must be covered and protected by guardrails. For holes under 4x4, you can use a piece of 3/4 inch plywood minimum, or any other material that can support without failure at least twice the weight, with the word hole painted stenciled on the plywood or material. Caution and danger ribbon tapes. Yellow caution sign or ribbon. Yellow is used to warn persons that they are entering a danger zone. Stop and look around. If conditions look safe, you may go through. If conditions look unsafe, use an alternate route. Red danger signs or ribbons. Red means stop. Always go around the danger zone. Red means do not enter under any circumstances. Remember, take down all ribbons controlling access to a work area only when you are completed with your tasks, and any hazardous condition is relieved. This will open up the work areas to other subcontractors. Control access zones or barricaded work areas will have monitors directing people to avoid the area. All persons must follow the monitor's directions to avoid potentially hazardous areas. Proximity to power lines and underground utilities. Be aware of any overhead power lines when working on this project. Remember to contact the appropriate authorities before beginning any excavation that has not already been checked and marked. If an underground pipe or conduit is encountered while you're excavating or trenching, immediately stop work activities and report the situation to the R&O project superintendent. All equipment or scaffolding or ladders and workers must be at least 10 feet from energized power lines of 50 kVA or less. If you're unsure of line voltage, contact the power company or the R&O project superintendent to determine line voltage in question prior to beginning any work. Ladders. There are 2 types of ladders used on R&O projects. They are step ladders and extension ladders. Step ladders. Do not stand on the top 2 rungs. Ladder legs must be in the locked position. Do not lean ladders against a wall or column, etc. Extension ladders must extend 3 feet above the top access point. Must be secured at the top or bottom while persons are utilizing the ladder. 4-to-1 rule. Every 4 feet up ladder must be 1 foot out at the bottom. Ladders are not allowed on lifts or on scaffolding. Ladders cannot be used as a horizontal work platform. When using a ladder, make certain you use 3-point contact method. Do not carry materials or tools up a ladder. Always face the ladder when going up or coming down. Always inspect any type of ladder prior to use. If ladder is damaged in any way, immediately remove from service. Always make certain ladders are placed on a secure, stable level subgrade. Power tools, electrical cords, and welding leads. Power and equipment cords must have the ground prong in place or be double insulated. Do not allow cords to be run over by equipment unless properly protected against damage. Do not use household 4-way boxes unless they are waterproof. Equipment cords, power cords, and welding leads must be kept in good condition. The use of electrical tape or duct tape to repair nicks in cords or leads is an unacceptable repair. Grinders and portable saws, or skill saws, must be equipped with a guard. It is unacceptable to pin up or remove any equipment guards. Always check grinding discs and saw blades to determine they have the proper RPM rating and are in good working order. Inspect equipment and power cords daily. If equipment is damaged or in ill repair, immediately remove it from service. Never use a power cord to hoist materials or equipment. Personal protection equipment, PPE. Properly fitted hard hats are mandatory and must be worn at all times on R&O project sites. Appropriate leatherwork boots must be worn. Under certain circumstances, steel-toe leatherwork boots may be required. Operating a jackhammer, etc. Tennis shoes, flip-flops are not acceptable footwear on R&O projects. Safety glasses or full face shields must be worn when using any power tool. Regular eyeglasses or contact lenses do not provide adequate protection. Earplugs or earmuffs hearing protection must be utilized if there's excessive noise in the work area. If work area atmospheric conditions warrant wearing protection, wear a dust mask. Always wear properly sealing or fitting respiratory equipment. Never share your respirator with another personnel. All personal harnesses and lanyards must be inspected prior to use. If equipment is damaged or frayed in any way, the manufacturer must determine if the equipment is still serviceable. It must be removed from service until a determination is made. Any personal harness, lanyard, or retractable subjected to an in-service load will be removed from service and replaced immediately. All fall arrest equipment must be capable of supporting a minimum of 5,400 pounds of dead weight. Manila wire core rope is not acceptable for fall arrest protection. Gloves shall be worn when field circumstances or hazards are applicable. High visibility vests must be worn on all R&O project sites. Crane signalmen, controlled access zone monitors, or traffic control persons must wear a uniquely colored high visibility vest. Work shirts must have a minimum 4-inch sleeve. Sleeveless shirts are not acceptable. Work pants must be long pants. Shorts or anything less than full-length pant leg is not acceptable. Bloodborne pathogens in first aid kits. Do not pick up any needles or syringes found on the project site. Immediately notify the R&O project superintendent. Do not pick up any used condoms or tampons found on the project site. Immediately notify the R&O project superintendent. Any bottles or containers containing urine must be reported to the R&O project superintendent. If you receive an accidental needle prick, notify your supervisor and the R&O project superintendents. Use extreme caution whenever you come into contact with blood or other bodily fluids. If a coworker is injured, take the time to protect yourself first. Subcontractors shall furnish adequate first aid supplies for their employees. If employer supplies are not available, R&O has a fully equipped first aid cabinet in the field office. If you need to utilize the R&O first aid supplies, please notify the R&O project superintendents. Lockout and tagout. Use employer or manufacturer procedures for shutting down equipment. When isolating equipment, check all feeds or valves to the equipment. Make certain lockout and tagout devices are applied to equipment being shut down. The devices must be clearly marked and secured enough so no one can tamper with lockout, tagout device, and re-energize equipment. Always double-check or test lockout and tagout devices to verify equipment is not energized. Lastly, always respect locks and tags. They are in place to protect someone from injury. That someone is you. Housekeeping and cleanup. R&O requires all work areas be kept neat and orderly throughout the workday. Good housekeeping is an indication of an efficiently run job. Keep the project clean and free of debris and rubbish. Trash piles shall be removed at regular intervals and at the end of each shift. Practice good housekeeping to eliminate clutter and debris. Scrap lumber, pipe fittings, hoses, weld cable, power cords, and all other materials shall be kept clear from work areas, hallways, and stairs. Bend over or remove protruding nails. Dispose of lunch and break garbage in trash containers. A clean, free of debris work area is a safer working environment for all project personnel. Toolbox safety meetings and training. Employer safety training is mandatory on R&O projects. All subcontractors will conduct weekly toolbox or tailgate safety meetings while working on the project. An employer-formatted topical subject will be discussed each week. Copies of the minutes and signature confirmation of attendees of this meeting will be provided to the R&O project superintendent every week while you're working on site. Weekly, all foreman site safety meetings will be conducted by R&O. All subcontractors must attend this meeting. Fire safety. Keep fuels and flammable materials stored properly and away from ignition sources. Plastic fuel storage containers are prohibited. If there is a fire, alert all workers in the area. Learn how to use firefighting equipment your employer provides you. Use the appropriate firefighting equipment. Do not attempt to extinguish an electrical fire or a petroleum fire with water. If determined you cannot extinguish fire, evacuate the work area and meet at the R&O designated emergency meeting point, detailed in the project evacuation plan at R&O field office. R&O fire extinguishers staged around the project are to be used in an emergency situation only. Please notify the R&O project superintendent if you've expended contents during an emergency situation or have observed a person abusing equipment. Medical emergencies in first aid, CPR certifications. If there's a medical emergency, immediately notify the R&O project superintendents. If R&O employees are not immediately available or can't be contacted, call 911. All subcontractors shall provide first aid, CPR certifications for all employees working on the project who have current training certifications. We would like to add all certified workers to our project roster. It could make a critical difference. Machinery, vehicles, and material handling. Operation of machinery or vehicular type equipment shall be limited to certified and trained operators only. Prior to start work, R&O shall be provided with certification or training cards for all operators of excavation equipment, forklifts, boom lifts, scissor lifts, or any other type of equipment requiring certifications to operate. Equipment operators must make daily inspections of their equipment prior to use. While operating vehicular or lift type equipment, always use seatbelts or appropriate fall protection equipment. Make certain all lights, warning backup bells or alarms, equipment cab glazing are working properly and in good repair. Any and all malfunctioning equipment devices must be repaired immediately. If equipment devices aren't repaired, equipment will be taken out of service until repairs are made. Never use defective ropes, chains, or web slings. Always attach a tagline to all equipment or materials being lifted. Make certain all loads are centered in slings or rigging prior to lifting. Enforcement, coaching, and discipline. For minor offenses with minor consequences, any employee will be expected to agree to improve behavior. Removal from the project could result from major offenses, those with serious or costly consequences, or for repeated minor offenses of minor consequences for which the employee shows lack of responsible effort to correct deficiencies. Discipline or coaching is intended to preserve good condition for other employees and encourage each employee to be a responsible and conscientious worker. Remember who is waiting for you at home.